The plains have been unusually inactive this year for significant severe weather events, but that's all about to change over the next few days as a trough placement highly favorable for the threat of significant tornadoes is going to be in play across portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. In addition to that, we're going to have extreme instability values, and overall, this looks to be a very, very potent setup. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down everything that you need to know about the next several days, the threats, the impact areas, and more. So let's go ahead and get right into it, but before we do, make sure to click that like and subscribe button down below as it helps me out a lot, and let's get right into this forecast. Now, starting off with today, the Storm Prediction Center has put a moderate risk of severe weather in place, as many of you know, for portions of south central Kansas as well as far northern sections of Oklahoma there, and this is actually driven by a 15% hatch tornado probability. So if you're in that red shaded area there, you have 15% chance to see a tornado within 25 miles of any given point. Again, that hatched indicator means that some of those tornadoes could be strong, likely EF2 or greater. Now, the damaging wind threat for today also does exist, although it's not nearly as significant. I do think that we could see some potent wind gusts down in the southeast quadrant tonight, and especially portions of Georgia. I think that we're going to end up seeing a big-time QLCS event play out down there, but overall, not too significant. The hail threat for today is also now driving that moderate risk of severe weather. This is a 45% hatched hail probability in play, and we're going to talk about why that is later in this video. But moving on to tomorrow, we have another enhanced risk of severe weather going out for portions of the central and southern plains, and this one actually looks almost just as potent, if not more potent, than today's setup. So if you are out here in the Central Plains tomorrow, you need to be on high alert because we're talking about the potential for a historic Central Plains tornado outbreak. Now, currently this is driven by a large 10% hatch tornado indicator. I can almost bet money that they're going to add a 15% hatch risk somewhere in there, probably somewhere in eastern Oklahoma and Kansas. Now, the damaging wind threat for tomorrow also does exist. This is a 30% damaging wind risk going out from sections of far southeast Nebraska all the way back through northern portions of Texas. I think that if we do see these supercells kind of, combine into one big old QLCS or even potentially a low-end derecho event, the chances of some significant damaging wind gusts do go up quite a bit towards the end of the event. Now, the hail threat is also going to be quite significant. Currently, we have a 30% hatch hail indicator in play all the way from southeastern Nebraska, once again back into North Texas, and I would not be shocked if this were to get upgraded to a 45% hatched hail risk similar to how today's did. Now, we're not done after that. Going into Tuesday, we have another enhanced risk of severe weather for sections of Dixie Alley, and I think with all the instability out here, we're looking at quite a potent setup. So if you are out here in central Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and northern sections of Alabama, make sure that you do have multiple ways to receive alerts on Tuesday. But for now, let's go ahead and get right into what the models are showing for the next several days. So this is the HRRR model, the newest run for today's event, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is a generational HRRR run for the Southern Plains. This is by 6 p.m. Just by 6 p.m., we have already got dozens of discrete supercells that are going to have the capabilities to produce tornadoes, some of which likely strong across much of northern Oklahoma and southern Kansas. This continues to uptick in intensity. We're going to be looking at more and more of those discrete supercells developing, and by 8 p.m., we are talking about the potential for several strong to potentially violent tornadoes all the way from central Kansas back into portions of Oklahoma. So please, 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 know whenever the storms are heading through your area, have multiple ways to receive alerts. Again, I think the later you go into the nighttime hours, the more so this shifts towards a damaging wind threat, not so much a tornado threat, but still something to look out there for sections of eastern Kansas, potentially a downburst damaging wind event in the Kansas City metro region. Now, going back over to the 12Z run of the HRRR here, we're going to be talking about tomorrow's event. You can actually see that it has a very similar look to what today's does, except for the storm mode is not nearly as discrete. Now, this has the potential to change, and it is still very potent there for sections of eastern Arkansas and western Oklahoma, but you've got to remember, the more discrete the storm is, the more dangerous it's going to be because it's going to have its own environment to take advantage of. It's not going to have anything working against it. It is going to be solely discrete, and it's going to have a lot of power potential. Now, again, big-time clustery storm modes like this can still bring some significant damaging wind gusts and at times a few tornadoes. But again, I think if tomorrow wants to have the same potential as today, it's going to have to get a much more impressive storm mode, a much more discrete storm mode. So what am I talking about, right? What are we talking about whenever we say instability, wind shear, all that stuff? Well, this is the HRRR 16Z run for the event for today. You'll notice that this is a highly, highly potent sounding, and it just shows the perfection that some areas in this environment have for a significant tornado threat. You'll notice that we have 3,300 joules per kilogram of surface cape, which is very high. We've got ourselves supercell composite values at 46, which is absurd, some of the highest I've ever seen. The significant tornado parameter values at the effective layer are maxing out entirely. We've got ourselves 81 knots of wind shear at the effective layer. Very, very potent. We've got ourselves anywhere between 370 all the way up to 600 SRH, depending on what layer of the atmosphere you look at, which is also incredibly impressive. Our lapse rates range anywhere there from 7 to 8 Celsius per kilometer, so again, also going to be very significant hail threat associated with this, most likely. Our storm slinky turn at 76 degrees, so you can see that nice curved area there on the storm slinky. Our hodograph is wildly impressive, showing a very impressive wind profile. Again, I think that if something like this were to actually play out, the potential for a couple of significant and potentially violent tornadoes could be at play. You'll notice, again, our dew point to temperature ratio, 67 to 72. I would not be shocked if those temperatures were actually to get a little bit higher today, potentially into like the low 80s. And if that were to happen, that could potentially limit the tornado threat a little bit. But I really don't think that it's going to be enough to stop things entirely, obviously. And then looking at tomorrow here, right? This is an HRRR 12Z sounding pulled here for tomorrow's event. Again, this is the reason that I'm saying it has these almost the exact same potential that today does. Look at this. We've got 70 knots of shear at the effective layer. We've got ourselves 500 to 550 SRH, 3,300 joules per kilogram of surface cape, supercell composite values at 42. One of the nastiest hodographs you've seen so far for the Central Plains this year. Effective layer STP is all maxed out, and a storm slinky turned at 80 degrees. Again, this is a very, very potent setup, and this also has the potential to bring some significant hail. Again, you'll notice that we don't have any good quality matches on our SARS analogs, but you will notice that we have 38 loose matches for large hail, and 92% of them are significant. So please, please, please have multiple ways to receive alerts tomorrow. Again, I actually think that tomorrow could be a even more impressive hail threat than today is. I mean, just looking at those lapse rates, you'll notice they get anywhere from 7 to 9, depending on what layer of the atmosphere you look at. Incredibly impressive. I mean, you don't see that too often in the plains ever, so this is going to be a very, very prime setup for a large hail threat. Now, before we end off this video, we do want to take a look at our current watches, warnings, and advisories. You'll notice we already do have a few severe thunderstorm warnings going out for sections of northeast Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas. Some of that early afternoon time, convection could limit our instability as we go later into the day, but I don't think it'll be nearly enough to stop anything, really. Our instability during, May and June severe weather events are always just so high, no matter what part of the country you're looking at. We do actually have some winter storm watches in effect going back into portions of Idaho. I think that the higher elevations here are actually going to have a pretty significant threat for potentially up to a foot of snow. We got our red flag warnings in effect going all the way from West Texas back into eastern Arizona, so make sure that you are avoiding burning if at all possible. But other than that, pretty calm right now. So before we end off this video, I do want to quickly thank, as always, all of our channel members. You guys are what keeps this channel running. If you do want to become a member, make sure to do so by clicking the link down in the description to get access to exclusive perks, early access to certain videos, and custom stickers to use in chat, as well as shoutouts at the end of every single forecast. So again, thank you all for watching this video. Please, please, please stay safe, and remember, we will be live for all of these severe weather events. We did almost 6 hours of coverage for Friday's significant tornado outbreak. So again, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.